Welcome, my name is Jan van Meegen, and in this video I'd like to discuss how we can use flexibility to build resilience into our operations and supply chains. I also like to thank the Global Institute of Flexible Systems Management Society, who recognized my research with the 2020 Flexibility Excellence Award. Let's first review what we mean by resilience and flexibility. I always like to know where words come from. So resilience actually comes from the Latin word resilire, which means to jump back. Resilience thus refers to the ability to recover from adversity. Flexibility, on the other hand, also comes from the Latin word flectere, which means to bend. And I think it's fair that we may add bending without breaking. Therefore, flexibility refers to the ability to adapt, to change. The point I wanted to make here is that, in my opinion, the difference between resilience and flexibility is that resilience deals with downside risk, whereas flexibility considers both the downside as well as the upside. My colleague Jeremy Gallian separates three levels of resilience. The first being strategic resilience, the ability to change the business model as a result of disruptions. For example, universities going through the pandemic and pivoting from their typical in-person education to remote online education. On the other extreme, we have personal resilience, a topic very important in psychology. How are we dealing with any adverse effects such as a pandemic? But the topic of this little video is on operational resilience, and that refers to the ability to maintain existing core activities of the organization while minimizing cost when facing these kinds of disruptions. Let us connect now the idea of resilience in the supply chain to profitability. On the horizontal axis, I plot the short-term profitability, also often called efficiency, while the vertical axis refers to resilience, which here can be measured particularly by long-term survival probability. Typically, we encounter some trade-offs. Two classic strategies are to focus on efficiency, for example, by single sourcing from a low-cost remote supplier. On the other hand, if we prioritize resilience, we can try to minimize risk. A typical approach is investment in redundancy, for example, stockpiling critical products. I'd like to point out that flexibility has the nice property that it can both improve profitability as well as reduce risk exposure and increase resilience. To illustrate what we mean by network flexibility or flexibility in the operating system, let's consider a very simple example. Consider an organization that serves two products or services to uncertain market demand. An organization can invest in product-specific resources. We'll call those dedicated resources. And let me represent K as the level of asset intensity or the capacity that the organization invests in. On the left-hand side, we have what is called a dedicated network. We have product-specific investments in capacity. On the right-hand side, we can add flexibility to this organization by, for example, investing in a group of resources that can produce either product. Quick example about Belgium. Belgium, a little country. In the north, people speak Flemish or Dutch. In the south, they speak French. A dedicated network organization would have a customer service call centers with monolingual customer service representatives. If I also hire bilingual operators, I endow now my call center with flexibility. Of course, bilingual operators will command a higher wage and are more costly than the specialized resources. And there's two key points that typically come out. Number one, a little bit of flexibility goes a very long way. And by utilizing flexibility here, we can both increase the resilience of the organization as well as improve its profitability. To visualize this effect, let's consider an example that I do in my textbook. Let's adopt a graph more similar to what is done in finance, where we talk about mean-variance frontiers. On the vertical axis, I plot here the mean profitability of the organization, while the horizontal axis shows the variance of the profits. In the example quantified in my textbook, we consider an organization that has a budget constraint so that it maximally can invest $100 million in capacity. In that setting, for the particular parameters of the model, the optimal point is represented here by the white point. Let's now consider what happens when the organization gets two options. The first option is to remove the budget constraint and allow unlimited borrowing. In that case, the organization, still only investing in dedicated capacity, will find it optimally to actually invest more. If the organization also invests in flexibility in its operating system, it makes a great impact. The variance of profitability is reduced by a factor of almost 50%. So greatly improving the resilience of the operation, while also improving the expected value of the organization by roughly 10%. The reason here is that flexibility in the operating system improves resilience through risk pooling. It also has an additional real option that it can contingently exploit upside variation in the good times. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up. And if you want to see more videos like this in the future, please hit that subscribe button below. That way you'll get a notification anytime I publish some new content like this. And last, if you have any other ideas or questions that you'd like me to address, please put a comment down below and I'll add it to my list of future projects. Thanks for watching.